here are the 4 S's. I come up with these things. It's called the 4 S's. And this is the prioritized spending in order to do the things that we really want to do. And if you do not prioritize your spending in this order, you probably will never succeed fully with money. The first S is survival. This is your basic needs, your basic sustained needs. This is what I need in order to survive. And I came up with another acronym inside of that first S, and that's STUF, STUS. That's shelter, transportation, utilities, and food. Those are the 4 things in basic, right? There's a few other things in there, but those are the basic things, your stuff that you need in order to survive. Most of us, in fact, almost all of us, can do these things. The second S is security. And security, this is where most people, me included, have accidentally, if not on purpose, misprioritized our money and our spending. And we'll come right back to that. But security is things like getting out of debt so that you have more money for yourself instead of giving it to your loan people and the banks and all that stuff. So getting out of debt, creating an emergency fund, having what I call anticipation funds, proper insurance, right? Maintenance money for your vehicles, all of these things that we have savings for to cover the things of life that happen so that we don't have to live paycheck to paycheck all the time, stressed out, no money to do anything fun. Right? So that's security. Then the third S is sustenance. And what I mean by sustenance is sustaining your lifestyle, whatever lifestyle you have chosen. And again, no judgment here for any of the lifestyles that you have, whether it's a high expensive lifestyle or a low inexpensive lifestyle. That doesn't matter. The idea is, what is the lifestyle that you have chosen and how to sustain that lifestyle. Now, the grander your lifestyle, the more money that you have to earn and make in order to sustain that lifestyle. So if you are out running around and you like travel and you like fancy things and nice cars and big houses and all those things, to sustain that lifestyle, you have to have a significantly higher income coming in. If you're a homebody and you don't really care about a big house and a fancy car and a bunch of clothes and you don't travel all that much, then you're like, yeah, you know what? It doesn't really cost that much to sustain my lifestyle. But you still have to do it in that order. It has to be that third S. Okay, and then the fourth S is your surplus, and that's the luxuries I talked about earlier. Here's the problem. We tend to take surplus and we put it way back here after number 1. We put it number 2. And this is what that looks like. Most of us, if not the majority of us, will say, all right, I know I have to pay my bills. I have to pay my rent or my mortgage. I have to pay for my car. I have to pay for gas. I have to pay for my utilities. I have to pay for food, right? We can do that. And then we say, all right, well, security would be next. Having no debt, having an emergency fund, having savings for the things that I know that are coming in the future, right? Maintenance on my car and all these other things. But instead of having that emergency fund, instead of having that security and getting out of debt, we say, well, I always wanted to go to X country. I've always wanted to buy that car. I've always wanted to live in such and such neighborhood. I've always wanted a house with blank, right? All of those things, we start looking over at that fourth S, that surplus, and we say, well, I can make that work. I mean, I don't have an emergency fund, but I could buy that car. I can afford that payment. Or I'm never going to get this opportunity again to go to this place in this time with these people, so I'm just going to do it before we have that emergency fund funded, or before we have our credit card bills paid off and our student loans paid off and our car payments paid off. Before we get out of debt, before we have that emergency fund, we go and do all these surplus things. The problem with that is not that I don't want you to do those surplus things. I want you to do those surplus things, but we didn't do it in the right order. We tend to put those surplus things way back over here before we have the security in place. And so our life is on cracked ice. And at any given time, if anything wrong happens outside of has to go perfectly, then the ice cracks and we fall through. And that's how people get into a cycle of debt. That's how people never be able to fund your kid's college fund, or save for retirement in time, or have to work until you're 90 years old, or all of these different things, right? We fall into this. This is the rut that we're in because we accidentally, or in some cases, we purposefully sabotage this plan by putting those luxuries and surpluses before we have the other pieces in place. And that's a little bit like not putting the frame up of your house and you're choosing carpet colors, right? You have to put the frame and the foundation first, and then you can actually put the walls, and then you can put the furniture, and you can put the carpet, you can choose the paint color, you can do all those things. But if you're trying to choose a color and putting furniture in before the framing and the foundation is done in your house, it's not going to work. That's the wrong order. All right, so you have to do money, prioritize in that order. And it's okay. It feels right now, if you're struggling with money and you're struggling in this cycle, it probably feels like you'll never get to that surplus. You'll never get to the luxury. So, I don't want to have to wait until I'm so old that I can't enjoy those trips or that car or that house or whatever. Like, in some ways, that's true. So, is that going to motivate you to do something that you need to do? Like, you need to get out of debt. You need to get your emergency fund in place. You need to get the proper insurances in place so that if you miss work, your income doesn't go away. You need to create more income, diversify your income. All of those things, this is exactly why I do what I do. And Mike, we do what we do. We help people get this priority right. We help people take action and start moving toward the goals that they really want. That's part of your ideal life so that you can do those surplus things, right? Mike became a millionaire at age, in his 30s. I retired at age 38. Like, this is possible. You can do it. It doesn't mean that you have to have $10 million in the bank before you do anything fun. It just means you have to be strategic and you have to plan for these things. What does your ideal life look like? But you have to prioritize the spending in that order, right? Survival, security, sustenance, then surplus. You can make a little bit of sacrifice here and now so that you can put your pieces in place. And then this surplus, this luxury thing, is going to come a lot sooner than you think, and it's going to be a lot better than you think. Because right now, think about it. If you're struggling with money, no emergency fund, and you have debt, and you are out on your big world trip, you still have the stress. You still have the anxiety. You still are worrying about, am I going to have enough to pay for the bills that I've committed to? Can I do my life? And I don't know. And then you start not just not enjoying this trip, but then you make different choices. Well, I guess I'm on this trip, but I'm not going to go do that thing, that activity that I really wanted to do. Well, I guess I just can't do it, or whatever. You start changing that trip. But think about the opposite. If you have that foundation, you have your S's taken care of first, and you have that survival. No problem. That's all taken care of. You know you have enough money for all that stuff. It's already done. You have no debt. You have the emergency fund in place. You got plenty of money saved for the things that happen to your car and your house and your maintenance and all those things that you're saving for. You have all that stuff in place. And you have enough money for sustaining your lifestyle. Your lifestyle is actually paid for and good. You know what's going on there. Then you can totally enjoy that trip, worry-free, stress-free, guilt-free, no anxiety. That's a way different trip than when you take the same trip when you're deeply in debt, when you have no emergency fund, you're not saving money, you're not investing money for your future, any of that stuff. It's a very, very different trip, right? So if you can do it in this order and start making progress, start taking one step at a time, then that's actually how you can create progress, lasting change, and really start enjoying your ideal life now. All right, we'll see you in another video.